What's the cheapest country that I could move to? Let me stop you right there, sis, because I think you are asking the wrong question. When you're choosing where to build a life abroad, the country with the lowest cost of living doesn't automatically mean that it's the best option for you. What matters is what you're getting in exchange for the cost and whether the country actually supports the lifestyle and income that you're trying to build. A place can be incredibly affordable, but if the internet is unreliable or the lifestyle isn't one that you actually enjoy, those cost savings may not be worth it in the long run. So, today we're talking about what I think you should actually consider when choosing a country to live abroad. Whether you're planning to move abroad just for a season or you want to put down roots, this will apply across the board. You'll want to stick around to the end because I've taken into account all the things that we're going to talk about in order to come up with my list of the top picks for countries that I think make for the softest landing when launching your life abroad. Before we get into it, hey girl, hey, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to She Earns Abroad. My name is Ariana, and I have been living and working remotely since 2021. On this channel, I help women discover their path to earning online so that they can live and thrive abroad too. If that sounds like your vibe, be sure to check out the link in the description to my free guide for making money abroad. It walks you through all the steps to figuring out how you can earn remotely and to start building your plan to make your move abroad. It's literally everything I wish I would have had when I got started. All right, so let's get into what actually matters when you're choosing where to live abroad. The first one is the biggest one and one that's nearest and dearest to my heart. I feel quite passionate about it. But when you're making the move, you want to be focused on cost to value and not just cost. Lower cost isn't necessarily a win if it requires you to sacrifice the things that are important to your quality of life. So this means you don't want to be asking, where can I spend the least amount of money? Instead, you want to shift your focus to thinking, what kind of life can I get for the money I'm spending? In some places, USD does give you more purchasing power, but you want to make sure that you're looking at expenses that are equivalent to the type of lifestyle you really want. This means when you see different social media posts that talk about how affordable rent is in a place, like you can live here for just $400 a month, it's so great. While that may be true, you should dive deeper and inspect what a place that costs $400 a month actually looks like. Because when you get there and you are looking at places that align with your lifestyle, it might be a surprise to see that what you desire for your life is actually not the $400 as advertised. So it's less of a focus on how cheap something is and more about being realistic about what you need to be comfortable. Something else that you want to consider when choosing your destinations abroad are the remote work conditions. How easy would it actually be to work there? So, having reliable Wi Fi, we all know, is a non negotiable if you're working online because literally your income depends on it. But beyond that, you want to think about the internet reliability as well as the electricity. Power outages can be just as bad as having spotty or terrible Wi Fi. And it's also good to consider what your work environment can look like living there. So, looking into things like co working spaces and cafes that you can work from. If you're someone like me who likes to get out of the house every now and again and work from different locations, you want to make sure that these are accessible to you where you're moving to if that's something that's important. When it comes to work conditions, you also want to think about taxes and the legalities and regulations around working from a destination. Just because you can physically work from a country doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't any tax or legal implications to earning remote income while you're there. So you want to be aware of this before you go somewhere and have to find out in hindsight that there's consequences for doing so. Along the lines of legality, there's also visas to think about, as well as long term options. If your goal is to move somewhere and be there 6 months or even longer, you want to consider a destination with the future in mind. So, thinking, how long can you actually stay there? You want to look into the visa options that are available, see how much they cost, see if they have any income requirements that you have to meet. And you also want to look into what happens when your visa ends. Is it something that you can renew? Is it something you can extend? Is it something that can lead you to a path of residency or even citizenship? These are the things that are even more important than how affordable a place is. Now, the next one is one that I think people often lose sight of when they're only focused on the numbers, and it is lifestyle fit. How well does a destination align with your lifestyle? You can find countries that are affordable, have reliable Wi Fi, have good visa options, literally just look great on paper. But you could still be miserable when it comes to actually living there. This is something that requires a little bit of on the ground experience, but it is also something you want to be thinking about when you are narrowing down the destinations that you want to try living in. So you want to think about your day to day experience, considering the time zone of the destination. Does it align with the type of work that you do? Looking into the type of communities that are there. Are there groups of people that you can relate to and connect with? This can be a big difference between somewhere feeling like a place you're stopping through and a place really feeling like home. And then you want to consider if the overall pace of life suits you. When you're there, are you feeling like everything is really relaxed and chill? Are you really overwhelmed, feeling overstimulated? Or is the place really motivating and inspiring for you? These are things that you definitely want to note. Again, this is more so once you've gotten there, but with so much content online and people showing their experiences living in different places, you can kind of piece together and make inferences about whether or not the place would be a good fit for you. And lastly, the thing you'll want to consider is affordability. So the cost is still important, but it's not the only thing that's important. And in this case, you want to consider affordability based on your current income, not on future predictions. So you don't want to make assumptions. Even though you might be in the works of building your own independent income when you make the move, you want to look at whether or not a country works financially with the income and even the savings that you have right now. So when you're building your income system, which is something I talk about often on this channel, you'll want to ensure that your first tier income streams provide you with enough cash flow to cover your basic expenses. This is what will give you the peace of mind and the flexibility to be able to build your independent income without having added financial pressure. This way, you're not living abroad and stressing about covering your living expenses while simultaneously trying to build your own income. Okay, so those are the things that you should be considering when narrowing down your options. Now for the fun part. Let's get into my top 5 picks for places that I think offer a soft landing for launching your life abroad. So I'm not just talking about the cheapest countries, but places that bring all the pieces together, where your dollar can go further, where you can work and earn from, where you have long term visa options, and where the lifestyle would make the most sense for the woman that you're trying to become. So, number 5 is a place that's near and dear to my heart, but also a little bit of a wild card. The first place, or number 5 on the list, is Vietnam. Now, Vietnam can be a little controversial because they don't have the most straightforward situation when it comes to remote work. It's a bit of a gray area, and they do not have a dedicated digital nomad visa. But as someone who personally spent a year there building her business, I do think it's worth considering and one that should be on the list. With the e-visa, US citizens can stay in Vietnam for up to 90 days at a time, and it is a multi-entry visa option, so you're able to go in and out of the country within those 90 days. But at the end of the 3 months, you do have to leave the country and return in order to reset your visa. I stayed in Ho Chi Minh City when I did this, so it wasn't too bad because you can literally make the trip in half a day. But it is something to consider if you're looking at places like Da Nang or Hanoi, where doing a border run can be a little bit more involved than just a half day process. But Vietnam does offer a very affordable cost of living. They have an amazing cafe culture, which makes remote work fun and easy to just incorporate into your day to day life. And the strength of the dollar means that your money will indeed go substantially farther while living there. Country number 4 is Ecuador. This is one that I think a lot of people sleep on, but Ecuador can be a great destination for women, especially who want a long term plan. Ecuador has plenty of residency options as well as visas for long term stays, including a digital nomad visa. They also use USD, which can make budgeting and doing conversions a lot easier when looking at making the move. So if math is not your thing and you just want like the easiest solution, Ecuador might be one worth considering. It also offers a comfortable quality of life for a fair cost. And there's so many places in Ecuador that are lovely to explore, not to mention where it's positioned in South America. It puts you in a great spot to explore even further. So it can be a great option not only for a long term home, but also a home base to do some other traveling within South and Central America. Number 3 on the list for a soft landing abroad is Georgia. Now, to be fully transparent, I actually have not visited Georgia yet, but it does get a lot of good reviews and hype from others who have. And that's mainly because of the different options that they offer when it comes to long term stays, different visa options. It also gives you a pathway to building a business. You're able to create a business in Georgia, and that could be a path to residency as well. It has a low cost of living, and it also is favorable when it comes to taxes for business owners. So, a lot to offer, not to mention the proximity to other places within Europe. It can be a great home based destination. Country number 2 is another one that is really deep to my corazon. Colombia. Colombia is excellent for longer term stays as well as it offers a great cost of value. So some of the biggest perks about Colombia is the time zone is actually very similar to the US. Not to mention it is very close in proximity. So if you're someone who still wants to be close to the States, this could be a great option for you. They have an established remote work infrastructure, so it is very easy to work there remotely. And they also have a lot of foreign communities that you can tap into, which help to make living in Colombia, not only fun, but it can really make it feel like home. As I mentioned, great cost of value, very low cost of living, and they have a digital nomad visa that actually has a lower income requirement than a lot of other countries. So it does make it a bit easier to get rev up your remote work or your independent income while living in Colombia. Keep in mind that visa terms change often. So as of today, when I'm recording this video, you are able to stay in Colombia for up to 6 months. You can stay for 3 months and renew a tourist visa for another 3 months. That gives you 6 months. And that allows you to stay within the year. The great thing about Colombia is that your visa resets at the beginning of a new year. So if you time it right, you technically could stay in Colombia for 9 months. This is just a little cheat code. Don't tell anyone. And again, always check the most recent visa options. But if you were to enter Colombia sometime in October and stay through the end of the year, you wouldn't have to leave because your visa would reset come January. And then you could stay January through March, renew, and then stay another 3 months. So it's just a little tip there. Do with it what you will. Okay, country number 1, the top country for a soft landing for launching your life abroad is Mexico. Mexico is such a popular choice among US citizens and Canadians alike, and that is likely because it offers the most familiarity to Western culture, just in Spanish. It's probably about as close as you can get, not only in proximity, but the culture has some similarities to the US culture as well. Little reset because my camera died. So Mexico is close to the US. They have a similar time zone to the States. The large cities are very remote friendly. They also have several foreigner communities there as well that make it easy to connect with like-minded people and other people working remotely. It is a cost of living that is lower than the US, and they also have temporary residency options for longer stays. So Mexico can be a great option for those wanting to stay close to the US, wanting that long-term stay, and just being able to have some of the comforts and the familiarity of home. Okay, I got a little bonus for you all. If you made it this far in the video, this is my gift to you. This is another wild card, but I had to mention it because it is where I currently reside right now, and that is Albania. So Albania is in the bonus category because it doesn't necessarily offer the most affordable cost of living. While here you can find things for like a fairly affordable value, a fairly affordable cost, it's kind of like you get what you pay for. So I wouldn't recommend coming here trying to live on the cheapest budget possible. But when you are making stable income, Albania can be a great option because similar to Georgia, they offer a 1-year visa-free stay. I don't know if I mentioned that, so mentioning that now. Georgia as well as Albania both offer US citizens a 1-year stay visa-free. So you can come in as a tourist and stay here. You basically use that as a test run if you need to, and get to know the country, get to settle in. And Albania also has options that allow you a pathway to residency. So they have one that's similar to a digital nomad visa option, as well as the option to start a business here in Albania that can also put you on a pathway to residency. So while it may not be the best starting point for anyone who is trying to start their remote income, it can be a good option once you've gotten that income going and you have some stability with the income you have coming in. I love Albania. Maybe I will do a video talking more about the things that I love living here, but it is a great option for anyone who is looking for somewhere where they can stay longer term, perhaps get residency, as well as a place that offers lots to explore, things to do, both in the country and surrounding areas. Okay, now I want to leave you with a few questions that you can ask yourself when deciding if a country will be a good fit for you. The goal with these questions is to focus less on the numbers and more on what makes the most sense for your lifestyle. So go ahead and grab pen and paper or your computer if you're a girly who likes to type, and jot down these questions so you can reference them when you are evaluating if a destination will be a good fit for you. The first question to ask is, how much do I actually need to live here comfortably? The second question, can my current income support that? What does the country require financially to stay? This is when you want to be looking into visas and if there's any income requirements or savings requirements. Can I legally earn my income while I'm there? Can this country work as a long-term option, if that's something that you're interested in? And last but not least, does this country make sense for the life I actually want? Again, with that last question, might not be something you get the full answer to until you get there, but it is something you want to keep in mind as you are evaluating different places. Okay, so you know the drill. I want to hear from you down in the comments below. Which of these countries would you consider living in? And are there any countries on the list that surprised you? Let me know. I would love to keep the conversation going. Now that you know what's most important when evaluating your options for your home abroad, you'll want to check out this video next. It's where I cover all the expenses and the savings that you should factor in when you're estimating the cost of your life abroad. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and send it to a friend who is also planning her move abroad. I'll see you in the next one.